So when did your big break come?
You know, it's so hard to say because when you start out with nothing, everything seems like a break. You know what I mean? And I know some of you will know these girls, Valerie Johnson and Gayla Gardner. They had a fabric store called Fabric Salon off of DeMoss. And one of my girlfriends here who liked to sew said, you need to go meet them. And I took a $2.95 an hour job just to be around them and fabrics. And if any of you know these women, their work is just like unbelievable, you know. And they taught me about how to buy fabrics, where to buy fabrics, that sort of thing. So that was a big break. They let me have the first show in their shop. And then my other friends said, Toni, we need to do this bigger. And they each gave me $100 for a professional model. And I went at the top of what was then the Warwick and just sent out invitations all over the city. And I was just telling Omar, it was 250 people standing room only.
Wow. So now you're this legendary figure to us now. But when you were not, when you were sitting there at the show, what did it feel like for the first time to see somebody in your clothes that you designed?
Oh gosh. I mean, it was just like, you try not to say, that's my dress, it embarrassed the woman to death, you know what I'm saying? But I would always wear my own things. So I was used to getting the reaction. But when someone else wore it, and people were like, where did you get that? You know, that's when you knew you had a good product. Because they're thinking they're about to say Neiman's or Saks. And it's like, no, there's a young black girl that has just moved here by the name of Toni Whitaker. You can find her at Fabric Salon on DeMoss. And, you know, it just sort of dominoed. One client told someone else, told someone else, told someone else.
Time goes by, and you look up, and you are now, well, you're like really, in that time, 4 careers. I would count your teaching, you're a teacher, you're a fashion designer, you're a fashion illustrator, and you're doing theatrical costumes for theaters. Tell me about each of those careers, and what's the joy that each of them brings to you?
Well, of course, the designing is the love. You know, I love clothing. And I would say I did get that from my mom because I can still remember sitting on the floor looking up at her getting ready for a party or something. And, you know, it's just taking a piece of fabric or raw material and then seeing it come to life. And then when someone wears it, you know, that's even better. The funny thing about my fashion illustrations, and there's a few up there, if you look hard at them, they all have the S curve in them. I got a C- in fashion illustration in college. And I knew then that I had to come up with a gimmick, you know, and so I just started the S curve and started learning how to put any and everything on that S curve. Never ever in life thinking that those sketches would be known just for that S curve. And I still have some of those beginning ones. I got the C- and the D's.
Those weren't the ones you sent us.
No, those weren't the ones. But once you learn to see, you can almost draw anything. And it's just how you look at it. And I just kept practicing and practicing. And Eugene Foamy kept saying, Toni, we need to show these sketches. And that's where I was very nervous. I was scared to death to show my sketches because I didn't know what the response was going to be. But I was always about the line. So even if you look at the shoes, the earrings, it's all the S curve. So I incorporated that S curve into literally every aspect of that illustration. So the illustrations bring joy because I experiment with fluidity, you know, sort of like in the fabrics. And I loved seeing how the different colors flow together. And I use the fashion illustrations to work with the palette I'm going to use for a particular season. When I see how they flow together and move together, I say, okay, this is going to be what I use for this spring, or this is what I'm going to use for this fall. And so I'll do abstracts first and just see how the colors mesh.
Very cool. Okay, what about I was surprised at some point. I was at a show.
Yeah, we sat next to each other.
Yeah, and I looked up and I'm looking at the program and it says costume design Toni Whitaker. How did you stumble into theater design?
Again, food. All the theaters needed costumers back then. And I started.
And you've done it at all of them?
No, not the big ones, because most of them you have to have a SAG,
Right,
union
right,
thing.
right.
But even in North Carolina State, I started costuming there. Always to just make extra money. I've always liked making extra money. But I really started doing it here just for that reason. But what I learned about costuming is you have to push the envelope. So you have to do something someone can see it at the back of the room. If it's at Miller Outdoor Theater, it could be 200, 300 feet away. And so you learn how to manipulate so that you have a garment or a costume that people can feel emotion. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, oh, here's the dress for the character. You really have to be able to make it speak. And that one particular play was Carolina Change.
Right.
And I got so many reviews. There was a guy there who had seen it on Broadway, and he said that washing machine could not touch your washing machine. And I don't know if you're familiar with Carolina Change, but it's about an African-American maid who works for a Jewish family, and she's in the basement, and all of the inanimate objects are real. So when she turns on the radio, I designed the radio as the Supremes. And when she turned on the washing machine, it was sort of a Jamaican lady that I had designed a skirt all from men's shirts. So it would be like, and So when she did her the shirts were like agitated. And then the bus, the hit lights that you buy in the store, I dressed him all in black, and we put these headlights, so when he came out, he had the headlights. And when you learn to push the envelope like that, you can pull it back when you're designing real clothes, and it just gives you an edge. It makes your stuff just a little bit more special than if you did not have that.
We're going to talk about, in fact, let's change gears a little bit right now. So you were forced, maybe for about 4 years, to stop working more or less to take care of your mom. Your mom became ill. And then you re-emerged on the scene back in 2014 at a show at Laurel Gallery. I guess my question to you is, during that time, how nice was it to spend that time with your mother? I always tell people that, my dad was my longest living love affair, and somehow I kind of get the impression that that's kind of like your relationship with your mom.
And, if I get emotional on this, we have to change subjects, because it's really hard for me to talk about. I understand, okay, it really is. But my mom went to the shop with me every single day. She's been with me for 12 years. So she actually would answer the telephone, sit in the shop. So I almost lost me a sale because I had the dress, and she said, "But don't you think it would look better in yellow?" I just sold it in blue. But she was always with me. And every place, we still, if she's able, she's going to